So it is.
Yeah, I can actually turn this into a monitor as well. All right, let's get to it, guys. This is Community Beacon. We appreciate you for checking in. These mosquitoes are sneaking in the house. Um, it's Friday, July. What is it? July 11th. Appreciate you all once again. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. This is a recording. So we got that bug out. Thank God that it didn't happen live because it took us a little bit for us to get there. Anyways, Mike Seville, your real estate guy here in Palm Beach North. Appreciate you checking in with me. Of course, on the other side of the screen, we got my book. I love the ad libs. I know, but our timing, brother. I know I want to get you out on time. On the left side of the screen, we got my brother from another mother, the Joel Simmons of the Tenacity Foundation. Let's get into this, man. Last week we spoke about. We're still in the series. This is the 6th episode of the series of what is healthy. Last week we spoke on healthy businesses. This week we're going to be getting into healthy identity and alignment. I'm excited, brother. You want to start? You want to get us going, or how you want to do this?
I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, I got a couple words that I can start us off with. So, as Mike, you were just talking about, we've been going through this for 5 weeks now. This is week 6, right? And we're just glad that you're here with us. So we're prepping. We're getting ready. We're getting ready to bring this to close this thing on out. But we got a little bit more left, and we've been talking about what is healthy this entire time. And so, like, the world loves to applaud polished routines, perfect diets, perfect careers, perfect Instagram feeds, perfect, perfect bodies, everything. That's what the world seems to, applaud and lift up. But the reality of it is that all of this quote unquote perfection, I don't believe that it truly is perfection, right? I mean, if I were to look into my scriptures, I would see that, I'll read the scripture about be ye perfect as your Father is in heaven. And I would take that as, well, if David was perfect before him, then, and he was absolutely flawed and with many, I'll just say sin or many flaws, how is he perfect? Well, it's because perfection is not necessarily what we behold through the eyes, right? And I think that through this series, we have definitely illuminated that it's not so much about what you or I am looking at and judging in other people, because that's what getting healthy is all about. What health isn't, what if health isn't about how you perform? Is the question, it's about, and I believe it's more about how you align with who you are. So I'll give you another scripture. Psalms 139:14 says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. See, it's like, let's take this into consideration, that what if I am just wonderfully made the way that I am, and anything that I desire to be is what I desire to be because that's what I want to be. The different factor, I'm going to say it that way, the factor that makes a difference is whether or not what I desire to be or who I accept that I am is based off of what is happening between my 2 ears or yours. Because if it's happening between your 2 ears and it's coming out of your mouth, then that's not me. I'm living somebody else's narrative. And I understand, and we've talked about it, how that may be something that's necessary when a person is a child, right? When you're a child, you don't know nothing. So guidance is so important. But there comes a time when we become adults and we start to make our own decisions. And in that time, it's time for us to rewrite our narrative. So we need to take agency and we need to understand what identity is. And then we need to find alignment. And that, I believe, is what truly being healthy is all about. It's like going through those steps to get to that place and then start working on yourself. So that's where I want to start it up for us this morning, bro. What say you?
I love it. I love it. And I was actually it's interesting because every morning I put out a, if you all are following me on Facebook, well, not every morning, Monday through Friday, Monday through Friday, I put out a quote, and it's something I read it in the morning and it resonates with me. And here's what's interesting. People say, Mike, where do you get these quotes from all these different people? I like to look at a great person's birthday. I'll take their birthday, and then I'll look at all the birthdays, and I'll look at the people, and then I get these different quotes. And what's been interesting is that over time, like I've just accumulated a bunch of these different quotes. However, I don't have to go so far back into the memory bank, because the brother he started off on talking about perfection. And I'm going to take this out of the scripture of Vince Lombardi, where he stated, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Now, I can go two places with this, because I thought that when I wrote it, it really resonated for me, because like the brother mentioned, and what Vince Lombardi speaks on is that it's not attainable. So you can already get that out of your mind. And I think we've spoken on several episodes before, where they say practice makes perfect. No, we say practice makes competence, right? Practice turns into competence, and then if you do things consistently, you can attain mastery. And that's what I hope to attain, or what I do attain within this, as we continue going through Community Beacon. So if we look at this perfection thing, and I want to start from here. I want to start with the acceptance part, because it's like accepting who we are, and not who we believe ourselves to be, or who we think of, based upon these outside standards, this narrative, right? But actually who we are. And as we started speaking in regards to this healthy identity and alignment, to me, it speaks to like integrity, right? It speaks to the integrity of a person, like how you show up on the court, or in out in the world, and how you show up at home, and how you show up with yourself. That's the integrity. And I've said it once, and I'll say it again. How you do one thing is how you do everything, and it shows. These outbursts of brilliance. Some people are tending to be performative, and it's not really who you are, and it's not, and it shows from a person who's discerning, and I consider myself to be very discerning. So it's like, I don't care how much you put on, I can see exactly how you're showing up. And this is not from a place of judgment, but just simply an observation, right? To me, that's what discerning is. I need to observe, and I need to check it against my biases, or check against myself, right? So I'm really just taking myself out of it and saying, this is what it is. There's neither right nor wrong, but there is the acceptance of who I am as an identity. Um, so for me, as we spoke on health, and I continue to talk about it, is that set point. Like, what is our actual set point? And what I found and observed and experienced is that a lot of us start from a place of dysfunction. It was interesting because, and we don't even know it. And I'll give you a clear recent example, because this is not our first, as we spoke about before. This isn't our first recording for this episode. We started the episode initially on time, like we decided to do at 8:45 in the morning. And as we were recording it, I'm on my side, the brother's on his side, and there was this huge lag, 10, 15 minutes in, and the brother was getting into it. So I could hear certain parts of it, and certain parts he was cutting off, right? And so at some point in time, I was like, listen, we got to start this over again, because we're actually starting from a place of dysfunction. And unbeknownst to the brother, he didn't know that his technology was going haywire, etc., because he's just speaking from a place from where he's at. But it was my observation and knowing that this is happening, that we were able to come back and reboot. So I think sometimes we do have to come from a place of rebooting, because we are starting from a place of dysfunction, whether that's in business. I heard some things throughout this episode and things that I observed in the real world, starting from a place of dysfunction in business, not knowing exactly what they were, and then jumping into it. And I looked up the stat, it was like 4 out of every 5 businesses fail. There's a reason for that. I spoke about it in the healthy body episode, where people want to lose weight to get healthy, and the opposite is actually true. You need to get healthy to and then losing weight becomes a part of it, because there's people who are losing weight and they're not healthy, and they're dying, because they believe that this actual the scale, or the wrong following the and this goes into this part, following the wrong number is of detriment to you. And then we don't know where we start. Did you take, just keeping on with the thought of the body, is that we don't know our blood, we don't have our blood results, we don't, like, we have a false way of thinking. We're using the wrong metrics. So as we get into it, into this episode of healthy identity and alignment, I think the metric has to be, and it starts with like the integrity. Like, what is it like in order to be, for me, how I see the healthy identity and alignment is, am I in integrity first with myself? Right? We, at one point in time, we spoke about a higher power. Am I in integrity with the higher power? Am I in alignment as my mind, body, and spirit in alignment with where it is that I'm going? And how do we know that? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad we asked. And I think this is, and I'll let the brother jump in as well, because I think, like, how do we figure out, like, where we are? And I have a couple ideas, brother, but go ahead. I don't want to hog up our time. I know we have a short amount of time. I want you to jump in and chime in on as we go through this episode.
I love it, Mike. I appreciate it, man. So, like, you're firing off a whole lot of things, and this is a good conversation. So I hope somebody out there is picking this thing up. Practice makes competency, consistent competency makes mastery. I love that. We've talked about that before, but it deserves being repeated. Integrity, discernment, acceptance. All of these 3 things are very huge. They're very, very big, very, very big, especially because we're talking about being aware. You have to have, once you become aware, you have to develop a level of acceptance of what you're aware of. It's hard. It's difficult. It's a challenge. I would say it's really your problem. And the only reason why I say that is because it's your problem if you become aware of who you are and you don't accept it.
Say it again, brother. It's whose problem?
It's the individual's problem. And I'm not big on problems, but people make problems. We're living in this time and day and age where people just want to throw words around. It's like, oh, don't call it a problem, call it a challenge. No, call it an opportunity. Well, no, there's a difference because of the mindset. The mindset is what makes it a difference, right? It's a problem if you simply are not willing to accept. You got a problem. Now, if you're willing to accept it, your integrity is filled up, right? You're like, yo, I'm not doing something right. I need help. Okay, you got a challenge. You got an opportunity now to become better. But if you're stuck, you're just stuck. Not stuck because you're looking for a way, but stuck because you refuse. You refuse. Like, here's a scripture. What is this? Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. But hold on. This is what the brother talks about so frequently. I love it when he says it. Because thou hast rejected knowledge. Oh, snap. Not because you didn't have an opportunity to get knowledge, not because you didn't have an opportunity to do right, not because something didn't happen in your life that could shine a light on you. No, it's because you simply rejected the opportunity. No, sir. No, ma'am. You have a problem. And the problem is you. You got to fix that problem. And so I love what he was just talking about when he started talking about the reboot. I got a saying, wherever I find myself, I check myself. Now, here is the caveat. What if when I find myself, I actually can't see that I need to check myself? So getting back to the example, I mean, we're talking about alignment, right? We're talking about alignment. Getting back to the example, the people that are in my circle, I'm sorry if you think you're in my circle and you're starting to realize that you're not truly in my circle. You're just on the outside. It is what it is. But listen, people that are in my circle, they have the competency, the graces, the ability to speak and to discern. Why? Because that's who I want around me. Why? Because that's the type of individual I am. And you won't be able to stand the fire that I speak out of my mouth if you don't have those types of qualities, because I'm going to burn you up, period. That's the type of person I am. When you come to me with a situation, I am immediately thinking about how do I help my brother solve it. If you're not in that type of mind frame, you're not going to want to be around me long enough. You just won't. It's going to hurt. But I'm looking for people like that. My brother said that's okay. So now, when we were in this episode 15, 20 minutes ago, the brother said, hold on. This, that, and the other. It ain't working. There's a delay. Hold on. Now, we could have been live. The brother would have done it even if it was live. I'm going to tell you the truth. I know who he is. He would have done it even if it was live. And then he was like, just stop. Don't even say anything else. Now, here's the thing. I could not see the lag on my side. I thought that I was speaking right after him. But he was like, nah, there's 10, 15 seconds lag. See, I wouldn't have been able to hear him if I was stuck in myself. I think that was a great example because when I find myself, I check myself. Well, when I was checking myself, I'm like, you just said something. I just said something. But because I know the integrity of the man that is my friend, that is my brother, because I know that, I sit back and I say, hold on. Maybe he can see something I can't see. Maybe he knows something I don't know, because him and I are aligned, and he's got good integrity, and he's got good discernment. Why? Because I've discerned that myself, and he's out for my good. And you know, what do you say, bro? What should we do? Just back on out, restart, reboot. And that's where we get to. Sometimes awareness means it's better to stop, consider, pivot, and restart.
Yeah, brother, it's a lot to unpack. And I sometimes I have to go back to mindset. Like, for me personally, and I love the brother brought this up, and I love that he continuously brings this up throughout the episodes, because this was something that I worked on a lot. The actual reframing, the changing, because I had a problem, right? So it was, I had a problem. Now, this is part of there's a term, it's called neuro-linguistic or NLP amnesia, because I get so past it. I get so deep and I dive so deep into it. So I dove deep in the mindset. I mean, and still continuously do these things, but now it's such a part of me because I've practiced it for so long. I've mastered it. The journals, looking in the mirror, talking to myself, saying certain statements, affirmations, etc. And I just put these pieces together, I kind of forget sometimes where people are. So automatically, when the brother talks about, sometimes we just jump to it's a challenge or it's an opportunity, like the brother mentioned. But a lot of us are actually in a problem, right? There's a problem there. And we need to accept that this is how we see it, not because Joel it inspires us and he's telling us that, and he's showing us, right? And he's demonstrating that it's actually, the problem is not it's not a challenge, or excuse me, it's not a problem, it's a challenge or it's an opportunity. But where you are right now in your place, this acceptance, going back to this healthy identity, understanding that we're coming from a place of dysfunction. 15 years ago, Mike had a problem, right? After we start to practice, we gain the competency, we start moving in a certain direction, all of a sudden it becomes a challenge and an opportunity. And it's like, man, I can't wait for it, right? Like I get these feelings now. And you all know how I talk about this identity ladder. I get a stimulus, something happens, right? I get a thought on it, and based on previous experiences, I get a feeling from it, right? And so it used to be like I got I felt this way, and think about this trauma loop that a lot of us go through, right? Because I want to stay on this part. So use this for you. Think about, and because it ends up being a trauma loop, right? It ends up these things that keep recurring over and over and over again based on your identity, your actual identity, not the identity that you've seen people put out in public and you want to be, right? Be careful with the word want, or even desire, what you desire to be careful with that. There's context to that as well. But what you actually are, right? And once you accept this, you'll understand is that I have these. So I'll get this feeling. I recognize it. This may be, and then I identify it. Oh man, this made me angry. This pissed me off, right? Or I'm sad, or I'm upset. I'm frustrated. I'm whatever. And I used to go, then from that point on, back, however many years ago, it was a problem because I sat in it and I fumed and I told myself that story over and over and over and over again, right? The stories that we tell ourselves make these things loop. And then at some point in time, I started to say, after a lot of this mindset work, after a lot of being around, changing my environment and being around people who are showing me different things, the exposure, right? And practicing it and seeing what it is for what it was. And the first time it wasn't perfect, right? But all I wanted to do over time was to reduce this period and reframe the way I thought about this thing. So over time, it became a challenge and opportunity. Till now, it was funny because I was speaking to Beethoven maybe a month or so ago about something similar, and he said, "Man, I can't wait till something happens in my business that went wrong or something." Because I'm like, man, I could go fix it now. I'm waiting. The brother spoke about being solution oriented. Sometimes we're just waiting. Like I need something to happen so I can get into the solution mode. Like it makes you feel alive. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the minister, said, what actually a person of what makes it, and I'm butchering it. I'm gonna tell you, I'm butchering it now. He said it's about creating the solution is what makes a man feel alive. It's not, some people will say, oh, it's being with a woman, or it has to do with that. No, it's actually about solving these problems, becoming bigger than these challenges, these obstacles, having the opportunity to create. Creation is what actually brings that out of you, right? That when I'm creating, when I'm moving in, and I wanted to jump on that real quick. When I'm moving in the purpose, so what the brother talks about, this challenge is the reframe, and I'm glad he brings it because sometimes I just go to I just skip over it. I'm not even thinking about mindset because it's already there. Right, so the brother brings up, he'll talk spiritually, and I'm like, I ain't even worried about it because all I gotta do is connect, and I'm just past that. But some of us aren't past that, right? So that's what makes, and that's why this works for me, is this iron sharpening iron, because it's like a reminder, like, hey, brother, spiritually you gotta, connect, when he brings it up, and allow other people to do it as well. What else did you say, bro? I want to get into let's get into this part. I want to talk about how do we fix these, because I know we got about 9 to 10 more minutes. I want to get into the solution, right? We spoke about it. I want to get into the solution because, guys, the solutions aren't necessarily out there, right? You have to start to discern a lot of this information. 80% of the information you get, you probably don't need. 20% is what you want to be focused on and figure out how it applies towards you. So how do we fix these different things, right? And I'll speak on uh coming from this dysfunction thing. There's a book, it's called Think Again. It's by Adam Berg. As we were going into this episode, my cousin Chris suggested it to me, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Once again, I don't want to turn this into a book club. You all go read it. But one of the things that it mentioned into it that I took from it was about the way that we miss these things, right? We miss coming from it. And then what we do is, because there's so much information, right? At this point in time, it's like the brother says, we reject knowledge. We spoke about my people are, what's the scripture, brother?
Destroyed because of lack of knowledge.
For and we're rejecting it, right?
Yes.
So, right. And so what we do is, and this book talks about it, which we need to speak on, is the confirmational bias that we have, right? Because we go out and the information is all out there. Like me and Joel will speak to it, but she's like, that's not me. This doesn't apply to me. I'm gonna go switch this YouTube video. I'm gonna go on to another video. Oh, okay, this is the one that makes sense to me. If this way, so we get so much information or misinformation, and we can actually turn good information into misinformation because of the confirmational bias. So we need to figure out ways, how do we actually check ourselves? And a great way to do it is, like the brother mentioned, the environment, your culture. And people aren't coming out and saying to you, oh, these huge negative things. No, a lot of these things are like micro expressions. It's little things that kind of turn, that happen, and they don't even know that they're doing it, right? But once again, they're probably coming from a place of dysfunction, just like you are. So we allow for grace in that. BGS Ibmore spoke about something called sign language. It was popularized probably by Kevin Samuels, but he spoke about sign language, and it's basically one of the tools, or probably the tool that keeps people in place. And this comes from your environment, and it shames, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Like, this is the sign language. They will shame you, they will insult you, they will guilt you, and then they will say how right they are, right? And I had an issue with that, being self-righteous. And I had to reframe that to say, I don't want to be right. I want to be accurate, right? So that's why I dive into the stats. So be careful about this different sign language that's being used, right? And be careful about the narrative. One of the things that I say is our probably biggest fight outside of ignorance is the narrative, which allows us to be ignorant. And the narrative tells us these things. This is what is put out in the world, right? So I'll talk about something real quick. Was the let me see if I can find these stats. I do have them. I saw something, I reposted it, right? And it was talking about Black fathers, and it mentioned that Black fathers are the most involved fathers, right? And I was like, let me go deep into this, because that's not what the narrative tells us, right? The narrative tells us that Black fathers are absent. Black fathers are not real. Essentially, they're absent. So that, what else would you say? According to the narrative. But then you see it says 70% of Black fathers, when they get the opportunity to be around their kids, they bathe them, they diaper them, and they dress them daily, compared to 60% of white, 45% of Hispanic dads. It says 81% played with their kids daily, right? 78% ate meals daily with their children, right? As opposed to 74% white, 64% Hispanic, and 41% helped with homework. Once again, 28%, which is a huge jump, 28% white, and 29% Hispanic fathers. So this narrative of being absent, irresponsible, disengaged, at one point in time when I used to hear it, I was just like, I've never seen any. I used to say this before I got these stats. I've never seen in nature a father that didn't want to be around their children. Even lions bear their child, which they can, they can destroy in less than a second, right? So so we go out in this world, but we hear these things, and we hear that what happens. We hear it over and over and over again. This is coming from the narrative. This is coming from the so-called culture, and it's up for us to change this. But also, this has to change with the environment. However, It actually starts, brother, you jump in, with changing your mindset.
I love it, man. I love it. James said this. He talked about a double mind. He said, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You guys didn't check it out, James 1:8. And I love this because so many people are walking around with double minds, period, or triple, or quadruple. I had a period of time when I was like really, really digging deep inside of myself. And I told a brother about this. I had a conversation with my wife, with my mother, and I had a conversation with Mike. And I was telling him about it. I was like, listen, I realized I was showing up as this guy at work, at this guy at in church service, as this guy at home. And I realized they all weren't the same person. Like I was being amendable to the people that I was around. And so for me, what I began to understand when I became aware of it, that was not, I accepted it at the level of this is who I am. But then I started to like say to myself, that's not who I am. That's not who I desire to be. Who is the one Joel? Like, what does that look like? I'm going to tell y'all, it took me some work, some energy, some effort. And then there was a period of time that I had to go through working and applying this energy to actually come up and figure out who is the real Joel. And so we hear the saying, will the real, insert name stand up? It's like, well, will the real Joel Simmons stand up? Like, what does he look like? So I just got for whatever reason in the last month or so, I've been getting compliments on the way I dress, the way I look. There's been some things that people have identified as being a part of my characteristic, And the thing is like, this is just me. It's like, it's taking time. It's a metamorphosis, right? You don't become a butterfly overnight. Like you have to go through the phase. You have to go through the phases of life. All things have to begin to align, right? Your mindset, your God set, your physical set, your nutrition, all of these things have to begin to align so that you can actually see who it is that you are. Because like, I'm not stepping into what I want other people to see. So I don't care what you think. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. And I thank you for compliments, all those that have given me compliments, but I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter to me because I have been developing myself so much that I can step into myself. And when I look at myself in the mirror, I say, doggone, man, you a good looking somebody. Ooh, I like the way you handle things. Ooh, I like the way you think about things. And I used to be concerned about how I think and how I present myself, talking about alignment and identity, because I'll speak slowly until I get fired up. I'll speak fast when I get fired up, but I'll speak slowly. Sometimes every single word doesn't connect to the sentence before it. So people have to listen to what I'm saying, because like Mike, I'll jump over something and think that I covered it, but it really happened inside my mind. So you got to be paying attention, because my brain is processing so fast. I'll leave out an entire sentence, which is something that I recognize, clear on that. I work on it, but I'll leave out something. And if you can read in between the lines, you'll stay with me. But like all of these things I used to be concerned when I say things, because people would cut me off. They want to hear what I had to say. And I think inside my mind, dog, I really had something to say. Now, I don't care. You don't want to wait until I finish my sentence? I'll shut my mouth. You can talk by yourself, and then I'll walk out. I could care less, because my value is great, y'all. And that's not me being egotistical. It's me understanding who I am. If you want to get something from me, shut your mouth up so you can hear me. Because guess what? If I feel as if my value is that great, let me tell you something else. I'm also willing to sit back and listen to every word that you have coming out of your mouth. I don't just say something and then do the opposite. No, I'm doing what I say. I'm walking what I preach. I'm living the life that I believe in because I'm aligned. So I'll give you one more scripture. Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. I'm keeping my heart. I work on that. When I say I find myself, I check myself, I'm protecting what I have. Who? Me, my entity, my soul, my spirit, my alignment, my knowledge, my health. I'm keeping it. I identify as me. That's why I identify as me. All right.
Guys, I know I think we're strapped for time. I want to make sure the brother gets out on time.
Appreciate it.
Especially in the Black community. I'm gonna tell you what. Check out this book. Where we at? Check out that book.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome book. That and I'm not telling you to take this guy's views. I'm just talking about how do we start, right? Especially in the Black community. We're talking in the Western in the westernized Black communities. We're talking about coming out of 400 years of slavery. We're talking about being engineered towards a certain kind of way. We're talking about these certain systems that put into place. So check that book out just to see what's original. What if I didn't come from dysfunction? I'm dysfunctional, right? Just based upon that. Like this is 400 years in the making. However, today I'm moving in a certain direction. I'm becoming me. What does that look like from an original standpoint? Then here's an awesome book too. I read this a while ago, and this is a pretty quick and easy read. If you check this out, Healing the Child Within, Charles L. Whitfield. Awesome book. I want you to go and check those things out. Here's the questions. Where are you starting from? Accept it. It's cool. It's all right. This is not about being morally, you know, right or wrong, whatever it is. This is like, where am I? And accepting it for where you are. You may not necessarily be happy about it, but now you know and understand that there's work to be done. Let me fill you in on something. There's always work to be done. We're always working on this thing. We're always, as let's say, finding ourselves in a place and checking ourselves, right? So this is where you got to start somewhere, and you have to get the tools. The brother mentioned this, and this is a question: are you aligned in all your settings? The way I am at work, in church, or the mosque, or wherever, the gym, home. Can that's who's going to tell the story too if you have children. Your child is going to say it, right? Your son is going to be the one to say, hey, you a whole different person when you're here. All this smiling and this and that, but then you come home and you give us hell, right? Or you come home and you're absent. Ask yourself these questions. We spoke about it last week in regards to business. Actually, if your business if that's creating a lifestyle, is your job creating a lifestyle? Is it worth it? Is that the legacy you're leaving behind? Right? This is the legacy you're leaving behind. How people view you, right? Especially people who are close to you. They'll tell you the difference. Is your identity rooted in healing or in performance? Are you showing up and putting on a show? Is it a performative thing, or is this actually me? I'm not putting on a show. The brother mentioned it. This is me. When did you figure that out? Some quick tips. Fathers, you play a huge role in your son's life in order for that to happen. There's times when fathers, where a son, especially the father's not in their life, they try to identify to everything opposite of the father. I ain't never gonna be like him. I'm never gonna be that. Now you're defining yourself based on a dysfunction, right? You may, in your mind, it might be saying, okay, it's a virtuous thought, right? Yeah, I'm just gonna be the opposite of this guy, right? But I'm telling you what, you're going to find yourself in other problems. It's not about being opposite of this person. Accept, if you find it in your heart, forgive, love, and this is the cheat code to becoming the real you. That acceptance and that forgiving, and you have to have it within yourself, and then you can have it for other people. Brian, what's your closing, brother? I know.
Closing.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you're saying about just being aligned, and You know, when your soul is aligned, you begin to thrive. When you know who you are. And like Brian Tracy said this, he said, you have within you right now everything you need to deal with whatever the world can throw at you. Now, there may be some challenges that are above you at some point in time, but you have to start with what you have, right? Like what I was just talking about, what Mike's been talking about, and he mentioned it. He said he conquered so many things early on in this pathway. Well, that's what happens. So you actually do have what you need to have to get to the next level of life, the next step in life. Sometimes the thing is that we're not trying to get to the next step. We're attempting to be whoever who's 500 steps ahead of us. We're not aligned to that. And even if you got there like that, if you took the elevator and got there, how many can maintain it? I mean, we've talked about this before. There's plenty of people that go out and play the lotto and they had nothing before. They were barely paying rent with what they had. They became millionaires and lost all their money. Some of them committed suicide. Some of them lost family members. Some of them just went right back to poverty. Some of them struggled to get another job. And then, of course, there's few people that actually did well. But the thing is like they were not ready for that level. Like just because we see the level doesn't mean that we're ready for it. We have everything that we need inside of us to walk the staircase of success. So don't skip a step. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I believe we've been getting at this entire time. Is be aware of who you are. Have these beautiful dreams, visions, goals, aspirations, but then work it backwards, like Monty Holm talked about. Work it backwards engineer it, and then find out what is the next thing that you do today that can help you on that trek to get to where you desire to be. And as you do that, you will be becoming who you desire to be. And you should always be becoming, no matter what goal, no matter what desire, no matter what dream you have in your mind. It should always be just far enough where it expands you so that you can go further. You just mentioned a little while ago, just talking about how there is always room for growth. The minute there's no more room for growth, there's room for death. So if that's what you're looking for, stop growing. Just die, because that's what you're looking for. Don't die, y'all. Keep growing.
That's what he meant to say. All right, guys, we love you. We will see you next week to finish up this healthy series. Appreciate you. Peace.